So, boys, topic today is describe these definitions given on the side of your page number 29. Okay, so first definition is about what is reflection of sound waves. So when sound waves traveling in a medium comes hit some barrier or hurdle, these are bounced back into the same medium. This is known as reflection of sound. In it, we will keep two things in our mind. First, I show you. Here we have a barrier. This is a barrier. Sound waves are coming, hitting this barrier, and then these are reflected back in this way. We will draw a normal line, means a line which is making an angle of 90 degree with the surface. Here we see these are the incident sound waves, and these are making an angle I. These are making an angle I with the normal, and when these are reflected back, these reflected back sound waves make an angle R with the normal. We note two things over here. Number one is angle I is always equal to angle R. And number two thing is, if we see the incident sound waves, the normal at the point of incidence, and the reflected sound waves, these lie in the plane of this page. These sound waves do not come out of the page. Are these coming out of the page? No. These will not come out of the page. And this thing is known as, these waves are planar in nature. It means we will write the second thing, incident sound waves, comma, normal means normal line at point of incidence and reflected sound waves all lie in the same plane. All lie in the same plane. So again, see, when the sound waves come towards a barrier, these hit the barrier and these are reflected back, bounced back into the same medium. This is known as reflection of sound waves, and in it, what happens? The incident waves make an angle I with the normal, this normal line, and these reflected sound waves make an angle R with the normal. These both angles are equal. One thing, And second thing is incident sound waves. These are incident sound waves, normal at the point of incidence, and reflected sound waves. And reflected sound waves. All these lie in the same plane. It means these are not coming out of the plane. These are coming in the same plane, and then after reflection bouncing back in the same plane. So this is known as reflection of sound waves. Now we will come towards second thing, and that is refraction. That is refraction of sound waves. Here refraction. In refraction, what happens? The sound waves are coming in one medium, hit the boundary of the second medium. Here hurdle is not placed. Here boundary of second medium starts. What the two mediums? It may be hot water and then it may be cold water, and these hot and cold water make two mediums, or we can say deep water and here shallow water. Anyhow, thus we get two mediums. When sound waves come through one medium, hit the boundary line of second medium, these enter into the second medium, and what happens? These change their direction. There we note two things: change in direction and change in speed. You have not to describe any experiment over here in this chapter, because we have studied the change in speed in different mediums in the chapter of waves. So here you will just tell two things. One is, when the sound waves come through one medium, hit the boundary line, these enter into the second medium, and what happens? We note two things. One is change in their direction, and number two thing is change in their speed. And these two things, change in direction and change in speed, are called refraction of sound waves. Okay, so this was the second definition of refraction. Now we will come towards diffraction. What is diffraction? In this case, we have a barrier, a hurdle, an obstacle. These are the three names we use: a barrier in the path of sound waves, a hurdle in the path of sound waves, an obstacle in the path of sound waves. But there is one important thing, and what that thing is? The thing is this, that in this barrier or hurdle or obstacle, there is a slit made. There is a small slit. एक छोटा सा रास्ता बना हुआ है इस रुकावट में. ये जो छोटा रास्ता होता है रुकावट में, इसे स्लिट कहते हैं. When the sound waves hit the barrier, the sound waves pass through this slit, and these are the corners: upper corner and this is lower corner. This is upper corner and this is lower corner. Here what happens? The sound waves bend on the corners. This bending on the corners is known as diffraction. And that's all. You have to just tell a definition of these things in this chapter. You will tell what is diffraction, what is refraction, or what is reflection, or what is absorption. So diffraction, again I am going to tell what is diffraction. When sound waves travel in a medium, these hit a hurdle or barrier or obstacle with the condition that there is a slit in that hurdle. When these sound waves pass through this slit on the outer corners, these sound waves are bent. These bend. Here you see, these bend on the corners. Bending on the corner is known as diffraction. Now we will come towards fourth definition, and it is about absorption. Again, the same thing. We have a hurdle, we have a barrier, we have an obstacle, but here we have a new condition, and the condition is this, that this hurdle or barrier or obstacle is porous in nature. Porous means मुसामदार, जिसमें छोटे छोटे सुराख होते हैं, ऐसी हर्डल को क्या कहेंगे? पोरस हर्डल, porous obstacle, porous barrier. Now, when the sound waves coming through one medium hit a porous barrier, porous hurdle, porous obstacle, then what happens? Some sound waves are reflected back, but most of the sound waves are absorbed in that porous hurdle. Means those sound waves enter through the small holes and enter into that hurdle. This is known as absorption of sound waves. And there, these 1, 2, 3, and 4 definitions are completed. You just have to define these 4. What is reflection? What is refraction? What is diffraction? And what is absorption? Next day we will study another topic, which is acoustics. So just define acoustic over here. What is acoustics? Basically, acoustics is science to control sound waves, or to control noise, or to control pleasant sound, say musical sound, by using 2 characteristics we studied today. What those characteristics are? These are, number 1, reflection, and second is absorption. So acoustics is science which is used to control sound waves or noise or musical sound by the use of absorption or reflection of sound waves. So this was the definition of acoustics. Again, listen. What is acoustic? The science to control the sound waves using reflection and absorption. And that's all. These are the 5 definitions. You have to study, you have to memorize, and then you will have to describe it on some page. What are those definitions? Number 1 is define reflection and illustrate. Illustrate mean draw a diagram and tell. Second is refraction. Define refraction and illustrate. What is the meaning of illustrate? Illustrate means draw a diagram and then describe. Number third is what is diffraction and illustrate it. Fourth is what is absorption, illustrate it. Fifth is just define acoustics. What is acoustics? That's all.